Good afternoon. Today we're looking at classifying numbers. Right now I am going to play a video for you, so I'm going to take me off the screen and play this video. It's 2.5 minutes. And that's the end of our song. If you're interested in songs to help you learn, you can look on YouTube for rational number, classifying number songs is probably a better way to look. That one will come up. There are probably several others at this point. So you can go ahead and fill out your pages based on the slides that are coming up. And if you need to pause because I'm going too fast, please feel free to do so. Numbers can all be considered real numbers or imaginary numbers. Real numbers are numbers that you know. They're the ones you've always worked with your entire life. They're ones you'll continue to deal with in middle school math. There are 5 subcategories of real numbers. Imaginary numbers are complex ideas. They're usually identified by using letters and symbols. They will generally be introduced in Algebra or Algebra 2, so you won't have to deal with those in middle school. The 5 categories are in the real number system are natural numbers, whole numbers, integers, rational numbers, and irrational numbers. Now, in 6th and 7th grade, you only deal with these 4, natural, whole, integer, rational. Sometimes in 6th grade, you will only deal with whole, integer, and rational. So this year, we'll learn these 4. Sometimes you'll see it as just these 3, and that's okay. Natural numbers are counting numbers. They are numbers, I say that they're numbers that you can count on your finger. 1, 2, 3, 4. You can't count 0 on your finger because you have fingers. You don't have 0 fingers. So counting natural numbers are anything you can count on your fingers and higher. Whole numbers, there's a very small difference between whole numbers. In fact, the only difference in whole numbers and natural numbers is 0. It's that one number. 0 looks like a whole. Therefore, it is a whole number, but it is not a natural number. Integers are all the natural numbers, all the whole numbers, and their opposites. So 0 is kind of an exception. It doesn't have an opposite, but it is still considered an integer. It's when we start talking about positive numbers and negative numbers. Football's a really good example of positives and negatives when we talk about gaining and losing yards. You have a positive amount of the iceberg over the ice and a negative amount under the ice. Rational numbers are any number that can be expressed as a fraction, where the letters A and B do not equal 0. This includes terminating decimals. That means they end. They're the ones that we use all the time. 0.75, 25 hundredths, 2 tenths. Those all end. And repeating decimals. So 3 tenths repeating, 66 2/3%. These are rational numbers because they can be written as a fraction, they terminate, or they repeat. 2 is, the whole number 2 is 2 over 1, or 2.0. 3 1/4 is 13 over 4, or 3.25. Negative, I'm sorry this one's so hard to see, negative 0.25, this should be negative 25 hundredths right here, equals negative 25 over 100. So those can all be written as fractions. Irrational numbers, again, this is something you're not going to need, but just for the little bit extra information, they can't be expressed as fractions or integers. Decimals, in decimals, they go on without repeating, and they go on forever. Pi is probably the one that you will use the most in middle school. We will start using this maybe at the end of the year, definitely next year, but you'll use this to find the area and circumference of circles. Okay, this is a Venn diagram. If you did your extra credit homework, you saw several of these. And we say, generally speaking, we in 6th grade, we're not going to use this circle over here, the irrational numbers. So we're going to look at the circle of rational numbers right here. All numbers are rational numbers, but we want to classify them in their smallest category. So a natural number, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 102, 3,600, that's going to fall in its smallest category as natural because we can count it. Whole number is going to be all of these numbers plus 0. So the only number that will ever fall into this category when natural number is here is 0. Integers are all whole numbers and their opposites. And that does include 0 even though it doesn't have an opposite. So rational numbers include integers, whole numbers, and natural numbers. We do want to classify it in their smallest category. Let's look at, sorry about that. Here's a different way to look at it. So when we're talking about classifying something in its smallest category, if you were going to tell someone where you live, you would say you live in Round Rock. You might say I live in Texas. You probably wouldn't say I live on Earth. That does not narrow it down at all. Most of us would not say we live on Mars. That's going to be your irrational numbers. So everyone in this room, everyone in your house lives on Earth. Everyone that you know lives on Earth. Probably most people that you know live in America. Not all of them, but a fair number of them. A number of the people that you know live in Texas, and you know a lot of people that live in Round Rock, if not for no other reason than they go to your school. So we would say we live in Round Rock as our most specific thing, but we also live in Texas, America, and Earth. My father lives in Fort Worth. He does not live in Round Rock, but he does live in Texas. He lives in America, and he lives on Earth. I have a friend that lives in Alabama. He lives in America, but not in Texas and not in Round Rock. So on this, using this classification system, the smallest classification we would say is that he lives in America. Okay? And someone who lives outside of the United States, we would say they live on Earth. That would be the smallest category they would fit into on this system. And that's all I got for you. Y'all have a great weekend, and I will see y'all later. Bye.